now if I run into this spike, yep, I lose some health. Collect it, I gain some health. So there we go. Welcome back to Arcade. I am Super Tommy, and in this episode, we're going to add a health bar and a health pill collectible in this series that we're doing on creating a side-scrolling platformer with Phaser 3.50. Now, in the last part, we added these spikes that you see here. If I move my penguin, it gets hurt by the spike, and we did a little damage animation where the penguin blinks into red. So check out the last video for that. Now here we're going to continue this, and so when our penguin gets damaged, we're going to lose some health, show that with a health bar, and then add some health pills that you can collect. So actually, let's see. So we're going to need to add a health graphic here. I'm going to just drag a health graphic that I have into assets here. So here's this health pill. We're going to use this health graphic to collect, and then that'll restore our health. So now we're going to add this in tiled. So we added stars and spikes in tiled. Let's do this with the health pill. So here in tiled, this is our level currently. We have our spawn, we have our stars, we have our spikes. So now let's add a object. So we go to our objects layer, let's pick this rectangle, and let's just say we put a health right, let's say here. Let's just call this health. Okay, let's save that. And remember to export. So go to File, Export. Now we come back here. Let's go to our game. So let's make myself smaller. So if you remember, we've been using the objects layer here in the game scene inside Create. This is our penguin spawn, this is our star, here's our spikes. So now let's add one. Well, let's add it next to stars. So it's similar to our stars. Now we called it health. Let's put that there. So we're gonna want to add a sprite just like the star here. So let's just do const health, this dot matter dot add dot sprite. Put it at XY. Oh, okay, we need to load the image actually. Let's come back up here. So this dot load dot image, I'm gonna give it a key health, and it's at assets health dot png. Let's just double check health.png under assets. So assets health.png. Okay, so now here in this switch case for health, we can now make a sprite add xy using the health key, which is the health image, the health.png, and frame. This can be undefined. We do want to set extra options since we want this to be static, true, and we want it to be a sensor, true, just like the star. Since it acts in a similar way, we're gonna put the health there, and then when we run into it, we don't want to move it or have it bounce the penguin off. We just want it to be collected. So we have that. So now we can do health.setData, just like the star here. We can give it a type. We're gonna call it health. And now health has more than just a type. It has a value, like how much health points you're gonna get back. So let's just say health set data. Let's say value. Let's say health points, and we'll just say 10. And okay, so that's good. So now if we move our penguin, okay, is static, is sensor, is static, true, is sensor. Just make sure. What is this other thing? Let's go back here. Yep, there's only one thing here. What is this other? Let's see. This looks like a spike. Let's come back here. Health, name health. move this around. There's nothing there. Put it up here, save, name health. Oh, did I miss a break somewhere? Yes, break. So you saw that it was actually making the health and then making a spike where the health was. So you need your breaks. And in each switch case, you need to make sure you have your breaks here unless you want it to fall through. So in switch cases, it will fall through from one case to the next if there's no break. Okay, there we go. That's actually too high to be reached. So let's go back here. Let's move it. Oh, there we go. And file export. Okay. Collect the star, and there's the health. Okay, so that's working. So now we need to do something when we collide with this health pill. So we've been doing that in player controller over here. So this is in the set on collide when the player collides with some other matter JS body. We did the spikes with the obstacles controller in the last video. But since the health is very similar to the star, we can just come down here and handle the health like we handled the stars. So let's go case health. Let's add our break immediately. We do want to emit an event, and let's just say events.emit health. Let's say health changed. We're going to pass it some value. So let's actually not do that yet. Let's just do sprite.destroy so that we get the collecting mechanic working, then the visuals working. Then we'll add in the actual logic of it, of what happens when you actually collect it. Okay. So now we need to actually show some amount of health, and we don't have any yet. So let's give our penguin and our penguin controller a health value. So health, and let's just say that's 100. And then each time we collect health over here, we will do this dot health plus equals. Now let's get the value. We have that health points value, const, just call it value, sprite dot get data health points. And if we don't have it for some reason, that's what these two double question marks is, the null coalescing operator. So if this is undefined or null, we're actually going to use 10 instead. Oops. There we go. So that means you'll always get some value. If this is not set, you'll still get 10. And we're going to add that. So now we don't actually want health to go past 100, so we can actually clamp it. Now Phaser has, in the math namespace here, a clamp. So we're going to clamp this dot health plus value to be between 0 and 100. So then we change our health. Now that our health has changed, this will make more sense. We can do events dot emit health changed and this new health value. So once we do that, we have this health value, the numbers are there. Now we want to display it, and when we emit this is going to help us know what the new health value is for whoever's listening, just like the stars UI, if you recall a couple of videos back. So let's just console.log out this health for you to see that something is actually happening. This dot health. Oh, well, we're not getting damaged yet, so that nothing would happen. So let's actually go to this spike hit and reduce our health by, let's just say 10. So let's go to our spike hit on enter. And so if we do that, we're also going to go this dot health minus equals 10, or since we don't want to go past the 0, we will do phaser.math.clamp this dot health minus 10 between 0 and 100. And then we'll want to emit this health changed over here too, right? Events.emit health changed. Now you see we're typing health changed several times here, which we could type it wrong and then things would just not work. So we really should turn this into an enum or a const. We've talked about this in other videos and in the blogs, so I'll leave that to you. But you can just make enums or consts and replace these constant strings, these string literals, with an enum or a const. Okay, so we're going to So here, when we get hit by a spike, let's actually also console.log this.health out here. And so we should subtract 10 from 100, so 90. And then a collect hit that health, so that's 100, so that's working. Great, let's get rid of these logs. Now we just need to show this new health value in our UI. Let's go to our UI scene where we have our stars set up here. And see, we have our stars label, and we're listening for a star collected, and we update the value on the star collected event, like we're going to do for the health changed event. Now let's just put our bar on top of or above the stars here. So we're going to use Phaser's graphics GameObject to draw a health bar. So we're going to do a gray backing and then a colored, like a green colored fill. So we'll just write this out like this, but we're going to do some changes here. So this dot graphics, so this dot add dot graphics. And then, so with graphics, you'll have to set some colors. So you set some properties and then you do a draw. And you can set some more property and you do another draw. So graphics.set style, set fill style. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Now this is going to be a color. So we want gray. Now I have a gray color over here. It's going to be a gray here. So 80, 80, 80. That's just a gray. Now we're going to do fill rectangle, rounded rectangle, just because rounded rectangles are friendlier. We'll put it at 10, 10, x, y. Let's just say it's 200 wide. Let's say it is 20 tall and rounded radius of 5. And then, so this is the backing. This is the gray backing. So now we can do fill style. Fill style, and now we want green, so that's red, R, G, no blue, so that's green. Now graphics.fill rounded rect, it'll be exactly the same, so I'm going to copy this. And let's just make this 100 so you can see. That's going to be over the stars, right? So let's move the stars down, so X, Y, let's move it, let's say about that. Give it some more spacing. All right, so you see our health bar here is half filled. So let's just review. We added a graphics object. Then we set the fill style, which is gray. So this first thing drawn. Then we drew, or the first thing drawn is the rounded rectangle, but we set the styles first. So we set the fill style to gray, then we draw this rounded rectangle. Then we set a new fill style for green on the next draw, which is another rounded rectangle, the same values that it's half as wide. So now you see there's a backing and then a bar, and we'll animate this as we change the health bar. Now, best practice is to actually reuse this graphics. You don't want to have to remake a new graphics every time. So let's add a graphics to our class field properties area. So let's call this graphics, and it will be phaser.gameobjects.graphics. So this .graphics will make the graphics, and then we're going to take this, but we're going to add a new method here. Let's just say this is set health bar some value. It'll be a number, and the value is going to be 0 to 100 to designate health. So let's take this, come here. So this .graphics. We'll keep the color. Now let's just specify a width here. So const width, let's just say the width is 200. Right? So the base bar is 200 width. So width. Now this number, 100, is the green part that's going to change. So value's going to come in, let's say you're at full health, 100. There's going to be a percentage of the width is what you want to fill. Let's call this percent. And so what it's going to be is value divided by width, right? That'll give you a percentage. Well, I guess it doesn't matter here, since we know. Let's see. just for safety, we can do phaser.math.clamp. We're going to clamp the value from 0 to 100, so just in case we got a value like 102 or 300, we're not going to go to like some giant number. So we want to just normalize it to within 0 and 1, and then use that number to make sure it fits within the size of our bar. So we clamp the incoming value from 0 to 100, and then we turn that into a percentage, and we just re-multiply that with our width. So width times percent. That's set health bar. Now, because we're going to call this set health bar multiple times, we're actually going to want to do graphics.clear first before we do anything. So clear out the things we just drew, and then it will draw based on the new value. So we're going to do this.set health bar, and let's just say 50 health. And that is not right. Let's see, width is 200%. Let's see, 150 divided by width. Oh, no. By 100. There we go. The total value is 100. And so we want a percentage. We want to map the percentage from 0 to 100 to our width, which could be, this is in case 200, but if you want to make a bigger bar, it could be 300, 500, whatever it might be. It could be 100 if you want a smaller bar. So that just maps it to the width based on the health, which is from 0 to 100. There we go. I'm sure the math will make sense visually when you think about it. So this is okay, so that's the set health bar, and so that's working. Let's try 75. Right, there we go. So now I think 0 is going to look a little weird. 0.9. Right, you still get this little thing here at 0, so what we can do instead, so if percent is like less than or equal to 0 for some reason, we're just not going to draw, so we can just do greater than 0, then draw the green fill. Oops. There we go. So 0 works. Just pick an arbitrary number, 86. And that works. Okay. Great. So we'll start at 100. Okay. So that's the bar. So now we want to do events.on health changed. Now we want to do this.handle health change. We're going to make that method. The context is this. So let's come down here. Go private handle health changed. We're going to get a value, which is a number. And then we're going to do this.set health bar value. So now if I run into this spike, yep, and I lose some health, collect it, I gain some health. So there we go. That's the working health bar. Now you see obviously we could have passed just set health bar into this health changed. But because we have another method here that wraps it, we can actually do an animation here. So now we're in a UI scene, so we're in a scene already. So we can do an animation here, and let's show you how to do that. We can basically animate the bar moving up. So we did a color tween in the last video for our penguin. We can do something similar here. We're going to do this.tweens, add counter, and we're going to count from, let's say, the last health. So in order to know what the last health was, we need to actually store that. So let's say last health. This is the last known health of the penguin. So there's that. And every time we set this, we're going to change last health. Actually, every time we come in here, we're going to change last health. So this last health gets this value. So we always know what the last health number is. Every time this event gets called, that health has changed. We're going to use these two numbers to determine how much moving we're going to do. So we're going to do an add counter from this.last health to the new value. So for example, if we're at 100 and we got hurt, we're going to 90. So we're going to count from 100 to 90. Now we can add, duration, just make that. We can add an ease. We can do yo-yo if you want it, but that doesn't make sense for a health bar. Anything in a tween you can use here to do this animation. We're going to do on update. So we're going to get a tween here in this callback, just like last time. So this is the value, tween.value. This is the value between the from and to. So let's just log this out. Okay, let's just see what this does. Let's inspect. Okay. So go here. So you see it tweens from 100, right? So like 99.18, almost 100, all the way down to 90. And so conveniently, if all we do is set the health bar based on the value that we're getting, which is 99, 100 to 90, it'll just change the health bar one step at a time in an animated fashion. So let's delete this console log. Okay. Yep, you see it moves. Instead of just cutting there, it moves, so it animates there. Look at that. It's pretty good. And when we collected the health pill, I'll just show it again. Get hurt. Get hurt. Okay, gotta jump on here and collect, and then it goes back up. So you can try adding a different ease or any other settings you want to adjust here. So ease, phaser.math.easing.sign. Just go with that. It'll look mostly the same, like a little nicer. Yeah. So that's the health bar. That's getting hit from the spikes, decrementing health to note that the player got hurt, then collecting a health pill to bring that health back up, showing it in a health bar here. And now we drew this with the Phaser graphics API, and we used the rounded rect just because it looks a little nicer. And to place the health pills, we used tiled like we did for the stars and the spikes and all that. And we added it just like we've been doing before throughout the series here in this switch case for each type of object in our objects layer in tiled. Now come back for the next video. We're going to add a snowman enemy. It'll be a more interesting enemy than just the spikes, but we'll have the snowman move around just a little bit. It'll be a more interesting enemy in this game. Now if you like this video, do hit like and hit subscribe for more videos on making games with Phaser 3.50.